What's up, friends? David here, and we are back with the semifinals of the NPL Minors. FC Popplio against Rob and the Gotham City Golurks, otherwise known as PokeTCG Gamer. And yeah, he beat us last time. Granted, we brought a Rufflet and a bunch of other sort of meme stuff, but we're here. We're trying to win semis to then get a guaranteed spot in majors, and should be fun. Alright, let's go right into the team. I have a Scarf Roserade. I can go over his mons and all that stuff, but you can just go check week 4. I'll link to it down below where I go over his mons. He didn't really make any changes. He dropped Luxray for Quillfish, which was, I guess, kind of relevant because I prepped for it. But back to the team. Scarf Modest Roserade. Oh, sorry. It kind of dicks on his team. Barring Scizor, he doesn't really have a switch in, aside from like even Assault Vest Torn is KO'd by Sludge Bomb. So yeah, E-Ball for general stab into Oko things, HP Fire for Scizor, and Sleep Powder to catch anything that might want to switch in on the Roserade, such as the Scizor for the first time. Speed is for speed. I think it's Timid Queen. And up next is Specs-Camo. If he does not bring the Gardevoir, which I am not 100% expecting, although it can come. Clanging Scales, Draco are all the stab I need. It just murders everything. Fizdef Bros outcode by Draco after rocks. Flamethrowers for Scizor. Toxic is in case Gardevoir comes. But general move I'll be clicking is Clanging Scales. Bulky because of Crawdaunt, and because I don't need the speed because he has no reason to outspeed any of my mons. I'm speed creeping a mon that's trying to speed creep a Suicune. And same with Crocoon. Crocoon is here because after a CM or two he can't break it unless he brings Psych Up Slowbro, Lum SD Crawdaunt, or like a Psych Up or Encore Gardevoir. And so yeah, after a couple boosts I just kind of win, and if he doesn't bring any of those 3 specific sets, then Kun just has a wonderful time. Up next is the Mimikyu. Fizdef Mimikyu to handle the Terrakion. It handles any variant of Terrakion. It lives it lives 2 Stone Edges from like Life Orb, I believe, and all sorts of other fun stuff. Play Rough to chip down the Terrak, and for Hydreigon, Will-O-Wisp for Terrakion and literally everything on his team because he has no fire type, so he has no Wisp immunity. Shadow Sneak for general poke and to chip things down like Gardevoir or like a Rock Polish Terrakion or something. It's just there for just general damage to chip it down. And HP Fire for Scizor. It does 30% minimum to Scizor, I believe, if it's like a standard max HP spread, if I'm not mistaken. But in general, Mimikyu is my Terrakion switch-in, and I just kind of have to keep it alive so then I can't get CC'd to death. Up next is Subplot Thundy T. Substitute to deal with the Ditto and to catch things on switches. I'm not expecting Hyper Voice Gardevoir or Boom Burst Swellow, so I don't really care that they are sound moves and ignore my subs. Leftovers to get general recovery. T-Bolt HP Ice for general stabs and to hit the Thundy. I say Thundy to hit the Ditto that's cloning my Thundy. And HP Ice for the 2 ground types being the Fizdef Golurk, which if Golurk comes, it's most likely Fizdef for the Kangaskhan. And to sort of chip at the Nidoqueen. I could have ran Psychic, but then that wouldn't 2-hit KO Golurk, and it wouldn't 2-hit KO something like Nidoqueen. Well, it wouldn't 2-hit KO Nidoqueen, what am I saying? I'm an idiot. HPS was mostly for Golurk, which I expected more than Queen, if I'm going to be honest. But I did expect Queen to come, even though it didn't come last time. I was really scared of it. And then last but not least, we have a Rocker to help break Sashes, to help break all sorts of stuff, as well as a spinner in case he brings Quillfish spikes or something like that. That's the main thing I'm afraid of. Excadrill. It's also nice to deal with the Mega Gardevoir, should it come with like an offensive set with Focus Blast, or to live a hit from Terrakion, I take 80% from Banded, I believe. And Earthquake, Iron Head, all that stuff. Rocks and Spin, just for general stuff. Max Attack Adamant, because I know I'm going to get Wisp burned by Gardevoir if Gardevoir comes. And that's the team. Yeah. Alright, so we could jump right into the battle. Alright, as you can see, Terrakion, I'm expecting it to be Dual Dance with Rockium. I'm expecting some type of Scizor. I don't know if it's offensive or defensive yet. Probably defensive to deal with my Sneasel. Fizdef Golurk, Fizdef Slowbro. I see a Swellow, which I expected it to be a Torn, but the Swellow I sort of expected it. After seeing it, I sort of figured it was going to be like a Life Orb or a Silk Scarf set with Boom Burst, Hurricane, HP Ground, and then U-Turn or Work Up, because I felt that was really good against my team if it decided to come. I don't remember what I said. I think I said Hurricane, because I don't think he'll bring Heat Wave, because Hurricane is just a better move than Air Slash, and he doesn't need Heat Wave. Only hits my Excadrill harder than anything else, and I don't know. I don't think it'll come, because he has a Slowbro for my drill, he has a Golurk for my drill, he has a Terrakion for my drill, he has a lot of things for drill, so... and then, last but not least, I see the Gardevoir. I know that Slowbro or Gardevoir are his Suicune answers. I don't know how. I'm thinking maybe Calm Mind or possibly Psych Up. If it's Psych Up, it's most likely on the Slowbro, because a Gardevoir just needs so many moves that I don't think he could fit Psych Up on there. But I will be scouting to see what kind of Gardevoir set it is. If it has Wisp, it has Wish, if it has Calm Mind, if it has Hyper Voice, all that sort of stuff. So let's get right into the battle. I decide to lead my Suicune to not let him lead Terrakion and kill him Pokemon. So he leads Gardevoir, I go into my drill, I know I'm going to get Wisped. I just didn't want to risk taking a modest Hyper Voice onto my Suicune without a +1 boost. So I decide to get up my rocks, we decide to trade rocks as he goes into his Golurk, and I'm perfectly okay with this because that means I get to go into my Suicune and set up a Calm Mind. Now at +1, I'm pretty comfortable with where the team is at. I saw Wisp and I see Wish. I go for Scald here to sort of scout for Encore. I figured Encore could have come at that point. And then I see Wish. And I'm like, alright, so he's either Calm Mind or he's just Dual Stab. I don't think he could be Psych Up at this point. I'm almost 100% certain that it's on Slowbro, especially since this is the status user. Slowbro could be the Psych Up user, and then that's how he beats it. But he goes into it to deal with the Coon, so I'm not entirely sure what to think yet, but I decide to stay in and Scald again, I believe, as I take a crit Psyshock and take 30%. Yep, I go for a Scald again. As he gets his Wish back, and I see Psyshock, I'm like, alright, so he's Dual Stab. I don't think he'd not run anything to hit my Sneasel, and I think Fairy Stab's just super good against my team, even with Drill, that he would need either Moonblast or Return or Hyper Voice or something to sort of be General Stab, or even just like Focus Blast, because a Burn Drill still kills Gardevoir from most ranges. So I go for a Calm Mind again, and from the way from my tone, I'm sure you could tell that he's actually Psych Up, and the Scald this 20%. I decide to stay in at this point to sort of scout his damage and see what kind of Gardevoir he is, and that is spooky damage. That's 50% from a Psyshock. So we can't touch a Sneasel, unfortunately. So Sneasel put in a huge amount of work on his team, but he just didn't bring an answer to it. So I decide here's a good time to sack my drill. I can go into... here I'm panicking, by the way. I'm absolutely panicking. I didn't want to lose Suicune yet, because it was still useful. I could rest up on Slowbro, I could rest up on Scizor, I could rest up on Golurk. It had its uses. and I wasn't sure how much. I just didn't know what to do at this point. I knew I had to sack something and then go into my Mimikyu and bluff that I'm offensive, and because offensive kills any variant of Mega Guard with a play rough. And so, especially after seeing that the Gardevoir is in fact has speed investment because it outsped my drill here, I feel like it can't live a Shadow Claw, and it can't risk me being like an offensive Shadow Claw variant, even though it might want to pop my disguise. So I end up going into my Mimikyu, bluffing that I'm either Scarf or offensive, and I went for Play Rough. I know Play Rough plus Shadow Sneak should kill from that range, and I figured he would sack it because Gardevoir was at 50, if I'm not mistaken. Let me last turn. Yeah, Gardevoir was at 48%, and so at 45, it can't really come in on anything. He saw that +1 Scald did 30%, and so after a Rock Switch in and Burn, he loses to the Suicune 100% of the time. So I felt like he would just stay in and sack Gardevoir in order to break the disguise. So I went for Play Rough to sort of to kill the guard and sort of either kill it with Sneak or do something. But he goes into Scizor, a good play on his part. I didn't want to risk Wisping there. I go into my Como, knowing that the U-turn is coming, terrified that Gardevoir is going to come back in, but he goes Slowbro. I'm so excited because Draco Meteor kills. I'm 100% certain that this is Fizdef based on the rest of his makeup of the team. So I go for a Draco, it 100% kills from here, and a miss. And then I eat a Psyshock, which does 48%, and that is huge because now Como is out of range of things like Stone Edge from Banded Terrakion, and just all sorts of stuff. It's no longer a good wall to things. Here I go into my Thundy. I know I can live any one hit from a Psyshock, and I can kill it off with a T-Bolt. My leftovers proc, so he sees that I'm not Scarf, so he gets to go into his Swellow. And here I just want to see what he's going for. I don't know what kind of Swellow this is. If it's like a workup set, then I just want to get some. I want to kill it with a T-Bolt. But he decides to go for Boom Burst, and I see Boom Burst, and I'm thinking, all right, maybe he's Specs, because that seems like a weird decision to just go for Boom Burst. I'm going to call his bluff, say that he's Specs, and that Rob is just going to bring a standard-ass Swallow set to a playoff game, and I'm going to go for the Clanging Scales. So in comes the Golurk. I was correct, it is a choice select Swallow, and Clanging Scales murders this Golurk. In comes Terrakion, and I know even a Rock Slide can kill me from here. Even if I wasn't Clanging Scales, then it probably might have lived, but that's whatever. I have my dedicated switch, but I believe I decide to sack off my Suicune here. No, I go into my Mimikyu because my disguise is still up, that's right. So he Rock Slides me, and here I am. I'm going to go for a Will-O-Wisp here to catch the Scizor, because nothing on his team wants to take a Willow. And I do catch this Scizor. In fact, I decide to switch out here into my Suicune because I know I could either rest up on the Scizor if it wants to roost up or bullet punch me, or he's just going to U-turn, and I'd rather sack off my Suicune and keep my Mimikyu at a healthy amount of HP. So I knew I could live a U-turn, and I kind of expected the U-turn, but I needed the HP on Mimikyu in case it was a Banded Stone Edge set from Terrakion. So he goes for Air Slash, revealing that he did have it, meaning I get to go into my Roserade, and I have to force that I'm Scarfed. I HP Fire here because it kills the Scizor, in case he wants to go into it. He comes into Terrakion, and in comes Como. I have to sack it off because it's so weak, and he gets to go for Rock Slide because it kills because I can't kill him with HP Fire. It hits Mimikyu, and Como is in range. If I had the 50% HP from not missing that Draco, I would have forced a 50-50. I would have been able to go immediately into my Mimikyu, and if he Rock Slided, then he either 2-hit KO'd me or I killed him. Or, I should say, it's a long story. If Como had health, I could have gone into Mimikyu there. And if he CC'd predicting Como, I won with HP Fire and Play Rough. I would have just spammed Play Rough / HP Fire on him, and I would have put either Terrakion in range of HP Fire or Scizor in range of Energy Ball. Or he went for Rock Slide predicting my Como. I let Mimikyu die by spamming HP Fire. Then Como comes in and clicks Clanging Scales. It lives a Rock Slide, and either Scizor or Terrakion drop, meaning that Roserade can then pick up the last kill with the respective move. So, unfortunately, this is what happened. I have to go with this plan. Mimikyu can live a Rock Slide from here, and I'm going to go for Play Rough and then Shadow Sneak in order to put Terrakion in range of HP Fire. 100% this puts in range of HP Fire, and then Scarf Modest Roserade can win. But much like my game against Parker in week 2, Mimikyu flinches at the most important turn, and dies. So it is Roserade against the world. I go for an Energy Ball to kill the Terrakion, and then Scizor comes in. I hope to God that it's like a subset and that he doesn't carry Roost or something. But alas, no Spadef drop, no crit, and it does have Roost, so we end up losing this game 1-0 because of not only the Draco miss, but the Rock Slide flinch. But it was a fun game, really intense. Came down to the wire, and unfortunately my Mons couldn't pull through when needed most. So Rob advances to the finals and has his guaranteed spot in majors, while we get bumped down to the 3rd place match. We are going to be playing against Verd, who went undefeated in the regular season, has a really scary team, and is a really good buddy of mine who we've been sort of helping each other build throughout the whole season, so it's going to be really interesting to play him. Unfortunately, the winner gets the last major spot and the loser stays behind. So, and Verd also came off a really rough Haxie loss, so we're both looking for revenge on someone, and we happen to be in each other's paths. So I will catch you guys next week with that battle. Until then, peace.